Hello guys, welcome to iTutor Academy. In today's session, we will start with the compensation survey. A compensation survey is a process of collecting data and facts about compensation policies, practices and programs of companies in some labor market. It provides information that has many uses. The information is particularly relevant to the problem of establishing and adjusting salary level. It may also be used to validate the compensation structure. The objective of compensation survey vary from one organization to another. Before conducting a compensation survey, an organization should study the compensation data that are already available. The data collected through survey should include not only information on the key jobs and their comparability to the surveyed organization jobs, but also information on benefits, bonus, and other methods of compensation besides direct salary. Failure to include these factors would give a distorted picture of the local compensation package offered. And conducting a compensation survey is a complex, costly, and time consuming process. For this reason, employers should thoroughly examine existing compensation survey before planning to conduct one of their own. Before deciding to use an existing standard survey, an employer should consider a number of factors. First, will the survey provide information to suit the organization's needs? If one survey does not meet an employer's needs, perhaps several surveys will provide the needed information. And second, how representative are the surveyed organization of those with which an employer wishes to make pay comparison? And there are three basic methods of conducting a compensation survey: personal interview, mail questionnaire, and telephone interview. The most reliable is the personal interview, even though it is time consuming and expensive. Compensation survey serves as a valuable tool for the compensation administrator to acquire a useful and necessary information concerning industry pay structure and practices. And next is compensation structure. A sound compensation structure must be based on job evaluation program in order to establish fair differential in payments depending upon differences in job contents. Besides the basic factors provided by a job description and job evaluation, those that are usually taken into consideration for determining compensation structure, that are the organization's ability to pay supply and demand for labor, the prevailing market rate, the cost of living, productivity, trade unions' bargaining power, job requirements, managerial attitudes, psychological and sociological factors. The compensation structure must be linked to what the company is trying to achieve. It is not unusual to find a company with a wage structure in direct conflict with the company's overall objectives. For example, the company may plan to produce a high quality product while at the same time it may have a direct incentive geared to quality. An attitude survey should be made to ascertain what needs have to be satisfied through a compensation structure. What are the employees' attitude towards the current pay structure, and what are their deeper expectations? The pay structure to a large extent determines and reinforces attitude. Two of the areas a survey out to highlight are the reason why employee work for particular company and what motivates them. And next is the compensation structure in India. Their employee salary package normally contains, apart from basic wage, a dearness allowance, overtime payment, annual bonus, incentive system, and a host of fringe benefit. The basic wage. The concept of basic wage is contained in the report of Fair Wage Committee. According to this committee, the floor of the basic pay is the minimum wage, which provides not merely for the bare sustenance of life but for the preservation of the efficiency of the workers by providing some measures of education, medical requirements, and amenities. and dearness allowance. The fixation of wage structure also include within its compass a fixation of rates of dearness allowance. In the context of a changing pattern of prices and consumption, real wages of the workmen are likely to fluctuate greatly. Ultimately, it is the goods and services that a worker buys with the help of wages that are an important consideration for him. In India, the system of dearness allowance is a special feature of the wage system for adjustment of wages when there are frequent fluctuation in the cost of living. In our country at present, there are several systems of paying dearness allowance to the employee to meet the changes in the cost of living. In practice, they differ from place to place and industry to industry. One of the method of paying dearness allowance is by a flat rate, under which a fixed amount is paid to all categories of workers irrespective of their wage scale. The second method is its linkage with the consumer price index number published periodically by the government. It indicates the changes in the prices of a fixed basket of goods and services customarily bought by the families of workers. The third method of paying dearness allowance is on a graduate scale according to slab. And overtime payment. Working overtime in industry is possibly as old as the industrial revolution. The necessity of the management seeking overtime working from employees becomes inevitable, mainly to overcome inappropriate allocation of manpower and improper scheduling, absenteeism, unforeseen situation created due to genuine difficulties like breakdown of machines. In many companies, overtime is necessary to meet urgent delivery dates, sudden upswinging in production schedule, or to give a management a degree of flexibility in matching labor capacity to production demands. And annual bonus. The component of the industrial compensation system, though a quite old one, had assumed a statutory status only with the enactment of the Payment of Bonus Act 1965. The act is applicable to factories and other establishment employing 20 or more employees. And next is executive compensation. In modern business, executives hold the most pivotal place in an organization. They play a major part in looking after the economic health of the company, as they are important for the success, growth, and profitability of an organization. They have to be compensated properly to make the executive happy to the extent possible. Companies have been giving in recent years bigger and more frequent rises in salaries. The cumulative effect is that executive compensation cost is today a sizable cost and rising cost. Companies have started looking at executive compensation more systematically and more proactively so that they can expect better performance from the executives. And for the higher management, salaries are influenced by the size of company, by the specific industry, and in part by the contribution of the incumbent to the process of decision making. The bigger the company, the greater is the compensation paid to the executive. Straight salaries, bonuses, stock purchase plans, and profit sharing are used to compensate the executive. In addition, executives are compensated for the various expenses incurred by them. For taxation takes away a major portion of their salary. Such a payments are in the form of, first one is medical care, professional service in legal and financial matters, facilitates for entertaining customers and for dining out, and company recreational services, the cost of education and training of executives, scholarship for their children, and allowances for professional magazines and books, and free well furnished accommodation, conveyance, and servants. All these go under the head of perquisites. And a sound system of executive compensation is essential for a number of reasons, because it to attract the right kind of personnel, to retain the right kind of personnel, and to motivate the right kind of person, and to get the best out of the right kind of personnel in the face of compensation. The absence of internal equity leads to dissatisfaction among executives. In organizations, there are disparities between compensation pattern. For whatever reason, compensation practices are kept as guarded secrets by organizations. To be effective, executive compensation has to be seen as evolved for a situation and administered in letter and spirit. Essentially, an executive compensation system or scheme for an organization has to be tailor made. Also, it has to be reviewed and revised from time to time. Top management should develop an appropriate to compensation that accounts for internal as well as external equity. The executive compensation will succeed when the total package establishes sufficient level of pay and provides internal and external competitiveness and supplies opportunity and security and status and maximize after tax earning and calls for maximum effort. And the last one is makes the executive a much better performer both as an individual and as a team member for both today and tomorrow. And next is reward system. One of the important attribute of work organization is its ability to give reward to their members. Pay, promotion, fringes, benefit, and status symbols are perhaps the most important rewards because these rewards are important. The way they are distributed have a profound effect on the quality of work life as well as on the effectiveness of organization. Organization typically rely on reward system to do four things: motivate employee to perform effectively, motivate employee to join the organization, and motivate employee to come to work, and motivate individuals by indicating their position in the organization structure. There are several principles for setting up an effective reward system in an organization. Give value to the reward system. Employees must have a preference for the type of rewards being offered, and many employees prefer cash rewards and plaques. And some employees like to see their name in the company newsletter. Others like the public recognition surrounding award ceremonies, and make the reward system simple to understand. Elaborate procedure for evaluating performance, filling out form and review by several levels of management lead to confusion. The system must be easy to understand if it is to be used effectively, and lay down the performance standards within the control of the team. Make the reward system fair and effective, and ensure participation in the reward system, and involve people in the rewards process and empower them to do the needful. And most organizations use different type of reward. Examples of recognition and rewards include money, plaques and trophies, certificates or citations, and public recognition, official perquisite, and special assignments, and parties or celebrations or other meaningful considerations. And money may not actually motivate people. Surprisingly, there is no clear evidence that increased earning will necessarily lead to higher performance. And a great deal of research has been done on what determines whether an individual will be satisfied with the reward he or she received from the situation. And the conclusion, following conclusions are there is 5 points. You just go through your material. And an effective reward system should link reward to perform, and workers who work hard and produce more or give better quality results should receive a greater reward than poor performance. And furthermore, for organization to attract, motivate and retain the qualified and competent employee, they must offer a rewards comparable to their competitors. Okay, so this is about today's session. If you can go through your study material, then it is good more. And if you have any doubt, you can contact our contact number also, or you can also comment it on our comment box. Thank you so much.